Damn, I've never cared about Monster Hunter this much until right now. Like, all the little tiny things, the tiny details into Monster Hunter was always nice, it was novel to me, but it's nothing that I actually cared about. But now I'm actually caring. I think it's because it's laggy, and what laggy represents for me, you know, what it means in the greater scheme of things. You know, laggy is not just a monster, okay? It is literally the monster for the third generation. Like, the biggest thing to the third generation was the underwater combat. It's the whole reason why Bro exists. He's the flagship to that game that introduced the stuff. You get to see him very early on, you know, you get to experience the underwater combat quite a bit in the game. A lot of people didn't like it, I guess, but also at the same time, because the third generation is my favorite generation, like, me seeing Laggy, him being in the game, and his music being what it is important, because he's like the full representation of the entire thing. Like, they amalgamated all of it into this one fight. And I think that's why I care for it so much, because it's third generation, and I am third generation. So we are the same. What's good, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and I want to make a quick little video for you all about my first impressions with Lagiacrus. Now, I will make a full-fledged video about all my opinions when I think about him and everything. I'm actually going to script that video. It's going to be a pretty interesting one, at least I think so. And I'm also going to do another video where I completely break down underwater combat, what it means, its significance, and all sort of things about the community and how I feel about it and whatnot. However, this isn't that video, so just stay tuned for that. I know I'm doing this really slow, but like, stay tuned for that. I can only do stuff on the weekends now. Life sucks. But anyway, I really think that the Lagiacrus fight is amazing. I'm having a ton of fun with it. Like, I fought it only about maybe 12 times now. That's a sample, realistically. And given the amount of rare drops that you would need to actually create armor and weapons, I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't have a single full set of armor. I almost do. I need one more sapphire, but he's been very stingy when it comes to the sapphires for me. Nevertheless, the point I want to get across is that Lagiacrus is a very fun fight. He has been buffed from what he used to be back in the day, and I did very much like him back in the day. He's where I like to think him to be at in the midst of power creep. So we haven't seen him since the 4th generation, and a lot of things have happened since then. They updated a lot of his moveset so that way they can accommodate for the additional strength of the hunter since then. And I find it to be, for the most part, pretty useful, pretty good, pretty tasteful. However, he has a couple attacks that I feel might be a little overtuned. I won't go into the super specifics, but when he does this little charge where he just like discharges electricity from his body on land, it used to just be a single hitting attack, like you would block it once or you get hit by it once or whatever. Now if you're blocking it, it takes 3 and it chews a lot of your stamina up. Now granted, it can stay a multi-hitting attack. I'm not too opposed to that. The amount of damage that you take from just blocking this attack is absolutely absurd. This goes for not all of his attacks, but maybe one other one that I think would only be okay if the monster himself was at max enrage, so he's like supercharged up and he's really mad. Very akin to that, like the Zenogre, where Zenogre can go into an installed state of being hyper aggressive, be it the fact that he's actually angry, he's enraged if you will, and he's supercharged with his electricity. At that point, the electrical properties of the monster themselves can actually take on stronger, you know, attributes. I think that's okay. That's good game design. As it stands right now, not so much. So maybe that's a bit of a bummer. It just means when it comes to fighting the 5-star tempered Laggy, blocking isn't going to be something you're really going to want to do. You can block certain attacks, but not all of them. If you see one of these, just literally take the hit. You're going to save yourself some damage. And honestly, by taking the hit, you recover faster than you would if you were blocking. Because if you were blocking, your stamina's gone. And if you have to block something else, you can't. But if you take the hit, you have the delayed wake up and the invincibility before you can actually move again. So I suggest taking the hit instead of blocking some of these stronger attacks that he has when it comes to him doing the full body discharge. Nevertheless, I still think he's great. The underwater combat is incredibly interesting. It's a step, in my opinion, in the right direction. We all know that underwater combat was a very divisive mechanic as far as Monster Hunter goes, and not a lot of people liked it. And I understand why not a lot of people did. I myself am a huge advocate for it. I love the whole mechanic as like a whole. It's my favorite mechanic in Monster Hunter to date. I knew not a lot of people did like it, but this, in my opinion, is them, for lack of a better term, dipping their toe in the water. They're trying to test out a few extra things, a few things that make it a bit more appealing to some players. I myself find some of these things pretty good, but I also find some of them pretty not great. I'm not gonna call it bad, they're just kind of mid. If anything, this is probably in lieu with the fact that given how it's actually working right now, they had to make some concessions, and I'm okay with that. The issue that I'm facing personally, this is a personal issue, is that when I'm underwater and I'm seeing the mobility of the hunter, which is good, great mobility, that was a huge issue, we didn't have any mobility. Having designated buttons to go to ascend and descend sounds like a good idea, but in practice it locks you out of just swimming faster. If you wanted to swim faster, you would press, in layman's terms, the R1 button, whatever that button might be for you, RB, R1, I'm not sure what it is on keyboard and mouse, but there you go. You would press that button, you would swim faster. In this case, it actually makes you descend. And then you would press the further back button on that one to ascend, to descend or whatever. Ascend, descend, R1, R2, L1, LV, RB, etc. You know what I'm trying to say. I apologize. With that said, though, it just means that now, if they are going to continue with that as their form of underwater combat won't actually work as far as the traditional sense where you would swing the weapon, because you need your R2 button. I'm a Lancer, I need that button. And other weapons, you need that R button. My longsword users, you need that button. So if they're going to keep underwater that way, they're either going to limit the actual combat to basically nothing, or this is as far as the underwater combat is actually going to get. I'm hoping that this is just, again, a taste of dipping the toe in the water, you know, a small sample, if you will, just to see how people react to being able to move around underwater. I think the clutch claw, if you will, is a great addition to the underwater combat. I think it's fantastic, truly phenomenal, like a 10 out of 10. I'm not no hyperbole, a 10 out of 10. Because it allows the hunter themselves to actually close the gaps and actually do a bit of damage if need be. Granted, if they actually introduce the weapons again, I can see how it could be a little bit broken, but you can just regress it to what it used to be, I think, in World, where, was it Rise of Sunbreak, where you jump on, do like a wounding attack. Yeah, just set it back to the wounding attack thing, so that way players can actually attack that one particular area to do the wounds. You know, that's what this game is about. All in all, it's okay. It's okay. I can see where they're coming from. Hopefully we have more things coming to it. Maybe not now, maybe in the expansion. I'd like to see it expanded upon. But as it stands, I don't think it's too terrible. I just know that at the end of all things, it could stand to be better. But it's a great stepping stone. Outside of the underwater combat, I think Lagiacrus himself was really good. I truly enjoyed the fight. I haven't had this much fight with fighting a single monster in a long time. But that's just what I feel about the Lagiacrus. This video already went on much longer than I expected it to, but I just kind of want to get this out off my chest. There will be a more extensive video. I'm sure you guys are probably going to be looking forward to that, and if so, stand by. I'm going to be writing the script for that very soon, starting probably after I finish this video, of course. Take care. Thanks for watching.